Alright, so today I'm continuing my quest to hit all 21 northern Danskin mountain peaks. And I'm following Google Maps. And I know not to trust Google Maps, but I didn't plan on doing this. This was a spur-of-the-moment trip, and I don't have a lot of time. So I just turned on the GPS and started following the directions. And I have ended up... a fence has blocked the road. So I can see the road way out there where I need to be. Let's see if I can zoom in. And you can't really tell. But I can't get there. So the adventure has already begun before I've even started biking to the peaks. Anyway, it'll be a pretty morning if I can beat the rain. So there's what I'm calling Castle Butte. And then that is Castle Rock. I don't know if it's actually higher than what is on the USGS, which is right there in the center, versus the rock. Come on. Trying to make it brighter for you. I did not plan on hitting those. My shoes are going to get really wet. I didn't wear hiking boots. I didn't plan on it. I was going to save those two peaks and then this one, which I'm calling Trail Peak. And then Danskin Peak I've hit a couple times before, hiked once, drove once. Maybe I need to bike it. And then that would mean I have biked to every peak except one, Dead Man Peak as I call it, which I would still need to complete on a bike if I wanted to kind of meet that cool milestone, saying all 21 peaks I have biked to, not only just summited. But anyway, the reason I am going after these now, I didn't plan on it. I planned on doing just this peak, which Big Dan named Devil's Hole Peak, which I don't really agree with because there's a closer peak to Devil's Hole. But I'll conform. But the road was washed out, like a huge washout. So I'm like, the only way I can get these peaks this year, this spring, this season, I guess, is to bike to them. I planned on coming with Brady next week to hit these three, just hiking. We were going to drive up here. But it would be quite a hike, so I'm going to bike to it. And I have commitments later today. Now I'm going to be late, which is typical. It's kind of my signature because I always run into problems. What would an adventure be without problems? So I don't know. I may not hit Danskin Peak. That's a ways up there. It looks like I've been pedaling in a lot of snow. So I might just hit the three that I haven't done. But it should be fun. Looks like it'll be definitely pretty. Yeah, it's beautiful. Another good thing about coming out here today, I didn't plan on it till I happened to just wake up at 5 this morning. It's really windy in town. And I looked up Prairie. Prairie's out there, Smith Prairie. I looked up the weather forecast for Prairie, and it was like 5-mile-an-hour winds. So apparently it's only windy in the Snake River Plain, not in the mountains. So I drove for about an hour to get out here. It was quite a pretty drive, actually. An adventure in itself. And it's beautiful. So once I hit these other peaks, I'm going to ride... I can't remember the number of the trail, but there's a trail down here in Timber Gulch that I've hiked before. I think it'll be quite fun to ride. It'll ride around to the other side of Devil's Hole Peak, and then I'm going to climb the final peak, which is Raspberry Peak, or I'm going to call it Raspberry Peak because it's by Raspberry Gulch, even though really it should be Devil's Hole Peak. But again, I'm conforming to an existing naming convention. Man, it's awesome. Now I'll need to study when I get home, but that is Mayfield Peak, which I hit last year, or what I call Mayfield Peak. Mayfield Benchmark is near it. But I think the USGS might be wrong, and there's a higher point to the west. And I suspected that last year, but I was running out of time, as always. I need to go faster, get stronger. So I might have to come back and hit that before I say I've bagged all 21 peaks. Maybe that'll be an excuse for Brady and myself next week, since I'm now bagging what I promised him. But anyway, there's the kind of the west side of the Danskins. Really quite pretty. Still wrinkly, as Ben describes it. It's a lucky peak out there in the center of the frame. But definitely the east side takes the cake for me with Smith Prairie and the Snowy Trinities and the deep South Fork of the Boise River Canyon and the bigger peaks and more trees. All right. I still haven't made up my mind. Am I going to bag Danskin Peak or not? Get a load of that. All right, I'm not going after Danskin Peak because those are way out there and I need to get moving. So at least those two, which I'm calling, again, Castle Butte, and there is officially named Castle Rock. And it looks like the rock is higher. The USGS might have been wrong again. And what I'm calling Trail Peak or Trail Creek Peak, because all of these drainages go to Trail Creek. See how clever I am? Man, it is beautiful out here. All right, time to move. Micah, you would be proud of me. I ran all the way to the summit. And I thought I was going to be able to sprint it almost, and then I hit a false summit. I shouldn't say sprint. I ran out of gas at the end because I did not pace myself due to a false summit. There's always a false summit. Anyway, Devil's Hole Peak. I can't quite see where Raspberry Peak is. I thought it would be right here, but that doesn't look like it has enough prominence. Man, it's pretty. This guy down here is Danskin Lake on the USGS, little reservoir. Or I think it's a reservoir. Maybe it's actually natural. Oh, it's just awesome. All right. Feels like I'm on a big mountain with all the clouds. House Mountain with Iron Mountain behind it. See Bennett Mountain out there. This old road is actually kind of fun. Here it's overgrown a little bit, but there's a nice windy trail following it. So I might ride all the way down to that saddle. I don't know if I want to hike the bike back up. We'll see. I better stop talking about it and just get out there. Castle Rock. I'm not sure that's climbable. I may not summit that. Never thought I'd resort to trail running, but I didn't want to take the bike all the way down to the key call. So I think Tom, Micah, Gabe, this should be sentimental. And it's beautiful out here. Just wicked pretty. All right. Any bets? That's a gnarly looking rock. Tough as nails, man. All right, that looks awesome. I think that's my route. The problem is I think the middle spire is higher. So I'm gonna have to go up and over that and then down and up again. This might take I don't know, might take some time to find the route. Man, it's pretty. I made it. So there's, that'll be my third peak right here. Castle Butte. But there's Trail Creek Peak or Trail Peak on the right and Danskin Peak on the left. Oh, and then back there is Devil's Hole Peak. I still need to hit that. I don't think we can see Raspberry Peak. This climb was a lot of fun. This is my favorite summit by far in the Danskins. Wow. And you know, last week I said that Buffalo Peak, which actually, maybe you can't see it. Anyway, it's over that direction. I said it had the best view, and I think this may have the best view. You get a longer stretch of the river going both directions. The thing Buffalo Peak has going for it is it reaches, unquestionably, so definitively reaches prominence criteria. It's interpolated prominence 504 feet, I think it was. Whereas this thing is only between 280 and 320. So you don't know if it actually meets 300 feet of prominence. So this may not actually be a peak, but man, it has a good view. Just 360 degrees. And I keep waiting for the flowers to pop, and I keep going to higher elevation, and there's still no flowers. It'll be so beautiful out here. Brady would have loved this hike. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Woo! Wow. This is the crux of the climb, or in this case, the down climb. It's so fun. Focus. I wish I had my nice camera. I think it was stolen. So now I'm resorting to a cell phone. It's terrible. Wow. So if you didn't know better, you'd think I'm around 8,000 feet or even higher with all the granite sprinkled in the green grass, but looks like high alpine meadows. I think I'm only about 5,000 feet. All right, 360 degrees from Devil's Hole Peak. Out there you can see where I was. Castle Butte, Castle Rock, Trail Peak, Danskin Peak in the clouds. I think it's 6,692 feet, I think. And then, so we're going clockwise here, and we're looking west. That is Mayfield Peak out there. And I still can't tell which summit is the highest. Man, that's tough. Oh boy, there's a lot of other stuff out there. I can't see because of the sun, but Indian Peak, you can see 3 Point Mountain back there. Oh, heck. So, 3 Point Mountain, Big Charcoal Peak. I don't think you can see Little. No, you can see Little Charcoal Peak right in there. Hopefully my on-screen pointer is pointing at the right spot. It's hard to see without the sun. That's Cap Rose. In front of that, right in here, is Flat Benchmark and Bender Peak. Behind Bender Peak is Station Peak. Oh, I lie. Station Peak's to the left. Behind Bender Peak is Deep Peak. And then Dead Man Peak on the right. And then this is Little Fiddler in front of me. That's a fantastic climb. Behind that, you can't see Hutton Peak and Fiddler Benchmark. Down in here, this is Buffalo Peak from last week. This is Raspberry Peak, my next destination. The trail I'm going to take is down here. I really wanted to hit Little Fiddler while I was at it and check out this trail down in this drainage, but I just don't have time. I will get in a lot of trouble. But it looks like a fun trail. I don't know, maybe I have time. Otherwise, I come out this trail right here. That would be kind of neat. Is that 21? I think I just listed 21 peaks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you can't see, 19, 20, 21. Got them. So that is the northern Danskins, which are really pretty this time of year. The southern Danskins, from what I can tell, I've never climbed any of the peaks. I've driven by them a lot. They don't have any forest. But still, looking south today, I was quite impressed. The reason I don't have those on my list immediately anyhow, because there are, let's see, 22 more of them, is there's no trails. So all the motorized trails are north of Danskin Peak. And that's a lot of fun on the bike. Even that trail down there I'm not checking out today, or maybe not. Wow, it looks beautiful. We'll see. Pretty awesome. All right, next peak. Could make for some great bike packing, I think. Wow, it's beautiful. Just this trail, even though it's a double track, it's quite flowy through here. It's a lot of fun. That would be Raspberry Peak. It is just beautiful out here. I know I've said that so many times. on the summit of Raspberry Peak. Not bad. I'm not going to finish trail. I think it's 3:31 down in here. I'd really like to check that out, but I am out of time. I'm already in a lot of trouble, I think. But I'll eventually come up out of here and maybe bag Little Fiddler. It's one of the last remaining trails for me to explore. So this is a pretty cool view. This has been a great day. To be fair to Big Dan for naming that Devil's Hole Peak, because Devil's Hole Creek starts up there. Devil's Hole is down there. I've never seen it. It's over this ridge. From this peak, you cannot see Devil's Hole, but you can see Raspberry Gulch pretty well. So, I guess that kind of justifies calling this Raspberry Peak instead of Devil's Hole Peak. I'm talking myself into this, can you tell? I'm trying. Therefore, leaving that peak open to be named Devil's Hole Peak.